You're in the Stampede, West Virginia Metro News' only show dedicated exclusively to the Thundering Herd. Here's your host, Dave Wilson.
Changes keep occurring on Marshall's coaching staff. Just prior to getting ready to do the show today, Geep Wade is leaving the Thundering Herd, the offensive line coach, taking an opportunity at Middle Tennessee State. That becomes the fourth member of the Herd coaching staff to leave the program this offseason. It started with the resignation of Chris Rippon, the defensive coordinator. We all saw that coming. Tony Peterson left for Louisiana Tech, where he is now the offensive coordinator. Latrell Pollard left last week. He's going back to his alma mater of Southern Miss, where he will be a defensive assistant. And then today, Geep Wade announcing that he is leaving the program as well. So 4 coaches leaving the coaching staff this offseason. We'll cover that for you here on the show and, of course, at WVMetroNews.com. But joining me now is the newest member of the Thundering Herd coaching staff. He is the defensive coordinator, spent the last 2 seasons at Temple, now with the Thundering Herd, Chuck Heater. And, Coach, first of all, what drew you to this position at Marshall, and what made you want to be a member of the Thundering Herd coaching staff?
Oh, yeah, I'm here trying to catch up a little bit to all that's going on here and meeting the players and, trying to connect names and faces and numbers. So, yeah, I'm right in the middle of all that.
Well, Chuck Heater just getting moved in to his new job as defensive coordinator. But, Coach, like I said, what made you want to take this job at Marshall and join Doc Holliday's staff?
Well, Doc, I work with Doc at Florida, and I believe that Doc will always recruit good players, and I know they struggled on defense. That seemed like the piece that was missing a year ago, and there were a lot of injuries, and they were rebuilding, all the things that go into why you struggle in a particular season. But I kind of put the faith and the belief that there's probably kids good enough here to win in this league. Leagues are changing and in transition, and I looked at this league. It looked like to me, I believe we can be successful. Obviously, we were tremendous in offense a year ago, and the defense can, pull their end of it. Then you have maybe really a juggernaut. So I'm at a point where I like working for people that I know, and I like winning. I've been around mostly winning my life, and it's really hard if you don't feel like the field is even, against you. And so here I felt like the playing field would be tilted slightly towards us, and if I can just do my job and get these guys playing well, then maybe we can get something done.
Talking with the new defensive coordinator for the Thundering Herd, Chuck Heater. Coach, Marshall's problems on defense well documented over the offseason and throughout the season. Are those problems that can be fixed in a year and remedied with off-season teaching and coaching heading into 2013? Well,
I believe yes to answer that question. I believe there's a lot of work to be done. That's a difficult thing when you go through a season like they did on defense, and when you're struggling and you can't get off the field, and it works on your psyche a bit. So we've got a lot of work to do to build up trust in one another and confidence, and we've got a few moving pieces. Got some guys, got 4 or 5 guys that you like to think you might be depending on who won't be practicing this spring. So there's a lot of challenges, but that's the art of coaching. Is putting the pieces together and motivating players and trying to build their confidence and try to build a unit and a team, and it's what that's why we make the big money.
Well, what you do have coming back are most of the starters from the 2012 Thundering Herd. Is that an advantage as you head into this transition period?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, those kids, they ought to be unhappy about what happened. If they're men who are competitive by nature, most athletes are, and they shouldn't be happy about what happened. They should be in the mindset to have a little edge about them, a little bit, as Ray Lewis says, play Pete off, And meanwhile, we got to fix whatever was broken, And I think in part was just again, the injuries were significant, and we still are dealing with that to some degree because of the number of guys who won't be with us in the spring that are dealing with off-season surgeries. But you got to get those guys back in the summer, and hopefully they can help you in the fall. So yeah, there's a lot of pieces to it, but yeah, no question. I think it can all get fixed. It needs to get fixed, absolutely.
Describe for me a Chuck Heater style of defense.
Well, we like to be aggressive. We like to pressure in situations. We like to play tighter coverage. My mindset is tighter's better. Don't give receivers as much access to almost like playing denial. Basketball, denying them the ball. So that's a starting point, and we'll have to see if we can get that done. It requires, skillful players in the back end, and so I got to find out kind of what we're dealing with there. But that would be my preference. And then I like the zone pressure, which is pressuring but not, selling the whole house to pressure. That's the thing about zone pressure. It's not. You still got some players in positions that if somehow they make a play, you can still get them on the ground and go play the next down, which is really important. So that's kind of what I'm, stuff we did at Florida, stuff we did at Temple, and stuff I've been around for, about the last 8 years, and so hopefully we'll see. You got to match it with the players and so forth. That's why I'm not overstating anything until I kind of get to know who we got here and kind of guys we have, and make sure we fit the system to the players that we have.
What kind of demands, what kind of requests do you have from players who play defense for you?
Well, going to demand that they play hard. That whistle goes for anywhere from 4 to 6 seconds. So we expect that when that play is gone on, that the guys are making effort to get off blocks, to make plays, to finish plays, and that's not easy. That's a conditioned way of doing things. Guys get tired and you get hurt and all those kinds of things. But the play you take off is a play that gets you. I've always believed in fundamentals, technique. I've believed in getting guys lined up, not slowing them down with a lot of processing, a lot of checking, those kinds of things. Not really into that. I want guys to play fast, want to play confident, want to play real fundamentally technique, to make sure we're working that piece. That's where we're hoping to spend our time, and when we're wanting to play hard on every play, trying to get everybody, all 11 guys doing that. That's not easy to do now. You got 11 pieces to it as opposed to 5 in basketball, and got 11 guys. You got to get all on the same page and trusting one another, trusting the guy next to you is going to do his job, and and not become. It's the least of all individualized sports. It's the least one of all. So you're dealing with a lot of selfish kids today. People in general, we're all selfish by nature, and so you got to find a way to push that aside and get it done from a team perspective, and then football is the ultimate team game.
Chuck Heater, Marshall's new defensive coordinator, joining us on the Stampede this week. And Coach, last year we talked a lot to the players about communication, about being on the same page. Is there a secret to teaching that, or is that something that just happens with repetition and practice and playing together, and it's something you develop over time?
Well, you've got to. I think it's somewhat systematic. I think it's within your system that it's just whatever your orientation is. If you think you got to call perfect defense every snap, and you're going to try to get in the perfect defense every snap, and that's going to require you making some reaction to things that they do when they break out into a formation. I'm not so much orientated that way. I'm more of a believer that you got to whip the guy in front of you, and everybody's going to get a blocker on most of the time, and you got to whip that guy, get off, and go make a play. And I'm not really trying to cheat. There's times we should be better on a play than the offense, but. So I think it's systematic somewhat, your orientation, kind of what your threshold for is. I have no threshold at all for low threshold for confusion, not being on the same page. I'll dummy it down about as far as I have to dummy it down to get all 11 guys, at least on that play, coordinated. I'm a coordinator by title, but in function, trying to coordinate all 11 pieces. And so if that was the case a year ago, then obviously that's a piece that we've got to correct and make better, and I think it's somewhat driven by your system somewhat.
Chuck Heater, new defensive coordinator for the Thundering Herd, with us on the Stampede. This is Doc Holliday's 4th year as the head coach. It'll be the first year he has an upperclassman quarterback. Well, second his first year, but he has an upperclassman quarterback. Most of the offense is back. Most of the entire defense is back. It feels like a make-or-break year for Holliday and the Thundering Herd. Did you get the impression during the interview process and as you accepted this job that there's a lot of pressure to be successful in 2013?
Well, I haven't been here for the whole progression, but I understand when coaches don't make it through a year, like happened to the guy at Southern Miss, and coordinators and so forth don't make it through a year. So yeah, it's the reality out there. It's business a bit different in terms of the period of time anymore. But yeah, you always feel the pressure to be successful, and get it done, and aside from externally how people see it, a lot of pride in your job, pride in what you do, and as many hours as we all work. It's we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. So no more so than what we put ourselves. We want to get this thing done. It's what everybody's happier. Everybody feels better when you're winning. When you're winning, not scoring a lot of points on offense, not shutting out every opponent, but when you're winning the game. And that's the focus. It shouldn't be about anything else. Trying to find how to get all those pieces working together to win, and it takes all of it to win. Sometimes the offense has to win the game, sometimes the defense has to win the game, but everybody has to hold up their end of the bargain. That's what we need to get done this year, for sure.
He's the new defensive coordinator for the Thundering Herd, Chuck Heater. Coach, thanks for coming on the program, spending some time with us.
Thank you, Dave. Have a great day, buddy.
Chuck Heater, new defensive coordinator for the Thundering Herd, and I like what I hear initially. He's talking about playing fundamentally sound. Not making the scheme complicated to the point where guys don't know where they're going to be. Talking about playing tighter coverage on the outside. That's got to be music to Herd fans' ears all over the place, who have complained for the last 4, 5, 6, 7 years that the coverage wasn't tight enough on the outside. But I like what I hear. We'll see if he's able to translate what he's talking about now into production. In 2013, we'll get our first look when spring ball starts. It's not really that far away, just a couple of months away now. Stay tuned to WVMetroNews.com for the latest Thundering Herd news. The latest news breaking today that Geep Wade is leaving the program to take a job at Middle Tennessee State. Follow me on Twitter. I shortened the Twitter handle, username. What do you call that? It's Dave Wilson MN, Metro News, Dave Wilson MN. You can follow me on Twitter. Email me anytime, dwilson@wvradio.com. We'll see you next time on the Stampede.